Hello students. Now in the last lecture we discussed reflection of wave. Now in that lecture we study reflection of only transverse wave. Right? Now today we discuss reflection of longitudinal wave. Reflection of longitudinal waves. Today we discuss reflection of longitudinal waves. Okay. Now we know that when we consider this longitudinal waves, at that time sound wave is the example of this longitudinal wave, right? Now we know that when this longitudinal waves or sound waves travels through one medium to the other medium, at that time we always observe that now when it travels from one medium to the other another medium, at that time its frequency remains constant. Frequency remains constant, right? Means when sound waves travels from one medium to the another medium, at that time frequency of sound wave always remains constant. But at the same time, when this wave is traveling from one medium to the other medium, at that time velocity of wave, then wavelength of wave as well as amplitude of wave varies. Varies means it changes. Means when sound longitudinal waves or sound waves travels from one medium to the another medium, at that time frequency of sound waves or longitudinal wave remains constant, but velocity of wave, wavelength of wave as well as amplitude of wave remains, it changes or it varies. Okay. Now in this way, when sound waves travel from one medium to the other medium, at that time it requires two mediums. Again in this case we consider one is a rarer medium and other is a denser medium, right? Now when we are to study this reflection of longitudinal waves, at that time again we consider two mediums, rarer medium as well as denser medium, right? Now when we are to study this, now we consider reflection of this longitudinal wave for two different mediums, right? Now first we consider reflection of this longitudinal waves from a denser medium, right? Then we consider reflection of longitudinal waves from a rarer medium. Now we consider one by one. Okay. Now before this, when we consider longitudinal waves, at that time when longitudinal waves travels through that medium, at that time this medium is divided into alternate compressions and rarefactions. At that time, now this is the rarefaction of that medium and this is the compression of that medium, right? Now we know that what is compression. Now this compression is known as high pressure region. It is known as high pressure region, and this rarefaction is low pressure region. It is known as low pressure region, right? Now this compression is always known as high pressure region because in compression these number of particles are crowded together or gathered together. Therefore it is known as high pressure region. Compression is known as high pressure region. And in case of rarefaction, we observe that this number of particles of that medium are get separated from each other or move away from each other. Therefore, this rarefaction is known as low pressure region. Okay. Therefore, when we are to study this reflection of longitudinal waves, now we always consider here compression and rarefaction. And when these longitudinal waves travel continuously through that medium, at that time alternately compression rarefactions are produced, right? Now today we discuss this reflection of longitudinal waves from a denser medium. Reflection of longitudinal wave from denser medium, from reflection of longitudinal wave from a denser medium, right? Now in this case we consider two mediums. One is rare medium and denser medium. Now at that time we consider one longitudinal wave or sound wave, and this longitudinal wave or sound wave is traveling from rarer medium and it reach towards the denser medium, right? Now first we consider here a denser medium. Denser medium is nothing but it is a rigid body. This is the denser medium, right? Now we consider one longitudinal wave. Now this is rarefaction. Now this is compression. Again there is rarefaction, and again there is compression. Again compression, right? Now in this case we consider this wave a longitudinal wave. Now this longitudinal wave travel through rarer medium, right? Now we consider one longitudinal wave. Now this wave is also known as the incident wave. Is a incident wave. Now initially a longitudinal wave is traveling through this rarer medium, having alternate compressions, rarefaction, compressions, rarefactions. And when this longitudinal wave reach at this denser medium, what happens? We have to study, right? Now first, when this compression reaches to this denser medium, when this compression reaches near this denser medium, at that time this compression try to push this denser medium particles in forward direction, right? But again we know that this compression is from which medium? Compression is from rarer medium, right? Therefore this rarer medium particles do not have a sufficient energy to push this denser medium particle in forward direction, right? Therefore no any action is produced by this denser medium on this compression, as well as therefore this compression is reflected as compression. Compression is reflected as compression according to Newton's third law of motion. Therefore after reflection, now this is rigid support. Now again this compression is reflected as compression, and rarefaction is reflected as rarefaction, and again compression is reflected as compression, and again rarefaction is reflected as rarefaction. Now this is the incident wave and this is the reflected wave. This is the reflected wave, right? Now this is the denser medium. Therefore from this it is clear that when longitudinal waves travels from rarer medium to the denser medium, at that time compression is reflected as compression and rarefaction is reflected as rarefaction. Therefore we observe that this compression is reflected as compression and rarefaction is reflected as rarefaction, right? But when it happens at that time, as this compression is reflected as compression and rarefaction is reflected as rarefaction, at that time there is no phase changes, right? Therefore we read here no phase changes. No phase changes, right? In this way we study that when longitudinal waves travels from rarer medium to the denser medium, at that time, according to Newton's third law of motion, compression is reflected as compression and rarefaction is reflected as rarefaction, and during this there is no phase change, right? Now this is the reflection of longitudinal wave from denser medium. Okay. Now we discuss other reflection of wave from another medium. Now we consider here second part. Now we have to consider here reflection of longitudinal wave from rarer medium. From rarer medium, right? Now in this case we consider one longitudinal wave which travels from a denser medium to the rarer medium. From denser medium to the rarer medium. Therefore we consider here on left hand side there is denser medium, and on the right hand side we consider rarer medium. Right? Now first we consider here rarefaction, then we consider compression, rarefaction, and we consider compression, and there is one boundary between these two mediums, right? On the other side, now there is a rare medium. There is a air medium, right? Now we consider first a longitudinal wave. This longitudinal wave is traveling through this denser medium. Therefore, this wave is a incident wave. This wave is a incident wave. This wave is a incident wave, right? Now, as this longitudinal wave is traveling through this denser medium, means these compressions and rarefactions are alternately traveling from this denser medium towards the rarer medium, right? Therefore, as soon as this compression reaches near this rarer medium, this compression try to push this rarer medium particles in forward direction, right? This compression particles of this denser medium having compression which try to push the particles of rarer medium in forward direction, right? Now as these compression particles have large energy and it has sufficient energy or large energy, and therefore these particles of this compression is push the number of particles of these rare columns compressed together, right? Therefore a compression is produced in this rarer medium. A compression is produced in this rarer medium, and this compression is moved in forward direction. Now compression is moved in forward direction because there is rarer medium, and therefore only rarefaction is remaining behind this, right? Now this rarefaction which is behind this compression now get reflected. It get reflected. Therefore, this compression is reflected as rarefaction. Compression is reflected as rarefaction, and again this rarefaction is reflected as compression. Again rarefaction is there. Again compression is there. Therefore, alternately, this is the incident wave, and this wave is reflected, and this wave is a reflected wave. This wave is a reflected wave, right? Therefore, from this it is clear that when longitudinal wave travels from a denser medium to the rarer medium, at that time when this compression reaches near this rarer medium, at that time particles from this denser medium which are in the form of compression are try to push the particles of rarer medium, and these compression particles have a large energy or sufficient energy to push the rarer medium particles in forward direction. Therefore, a compression is produced inside this rarer medium, right? And this compression is moved in forward direction. Now, as this compression is moved in forward direction, now rarefaction is remaining behind, and this rarefaction is reflected. Rarefaction is reflected from this rarer medium, and this rarefaction is reflected in back at the denser medium. Therefore, this wave is reflected wave, and this wave is a incident wave, right? But at the same time, what happens? this compression is reflected as rarefaction. Compression is reflected as rarefactions means during this compression is reflected as rarefaction. But at the same time, when there is rarefaction, now this rarefaction is also reflected as compression. Rarefaction is reflected as compression. But at the same time, we observe that when compression is reflected as rarefaction or rarefaction is reflected as compression, at that time phase angle between them changes. Therefore, we write here phase changes by pi radians. Phase changes by pi radians, right? Now this is the difference between reflection of longitudinal waves from denser medium as well as from rarer medium, right? Now in short, we remember that. Now when we have to study this reflection of longitudinal waves, first we consider reflection of longitudinal waves from denser medium. Now when longitudinal waves travels from rarer medium to the denser medium, at that time, now this compression is reflected as compression and rarefaction is reflected as rarefaction. Therefore, there is no phase changes. Okay. Now, in the second part, reflection of longitudinal waves from rare medium. When this longitudinal wave travels from denser medium to the rarer medium, at that time compression of that denser medium get reflected as rarefaction and rarefaction is get reflected as compression. Therefore, at that time phase changes by pi radians. Okay. In this way, today we discuss reflection of longitudinal wave. Right. Now, today write down the assignments. Write down the assignments. Now the first assignment, explain reflection of transverse wave, from a denser medium and a rarer medium. The first assignment is explain reflection of transverse wave from a denser medium and a rarer medium. Right? Second, similarly, explain reflection of longitudinal waves from a denser medium and a rarer medium. Okay. Now do this assignment. This is the first assignment for this transverse wave and this is the second assignment for this longitudinal wave. Okay. Now we stop here. Thank you.